My wife went and got me some Cokes. I ate this burger in like 23 minutes, smashed the whole thing. I'm like, that was easy. Got my prize money, went to the fudge factory. Out of the $550, I spent $250 of that on fudge. 96.9, the Fitzy and Whipper radio show, their producer got in touch with me from like a random account saying, hey man, like, do you want to come into the studio tomorrow and like eat dumplings with Whipper and Fitzy? I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then like this entourage of people comes about 20 minutes later. Content creators, influencers, and competitive eaters, cameras, and all this. And I'm like, I thought I was here to eat a burger, right? So this burger contest happens. I smashed it. I ate this burger in like 2.5 minutes. One and his now wife, they kind of sat me down and they're like, listen.
What needs to go through your mind to be like, you know what, this is it. This is going to be my thing.
Good question. So look, firstly, it's my wife's fault.
It's always
May 2021. So I don't drink alcohol, just personal preference, right? My wife wanted to go to a winery in the Hunter Valley. You know, the woman, cheese and wine, you know, that bougie thing, day out. So to bribe me to go, she knows I'm not going to drive 4 hours and just, you know, it's not going to happen. Like I get bored, I get hungry. So she planned a day trip. We live in Borkham Hills. To the Hunter Valley was 4 hours. So an hour and a half in, we stop at Cessnock, get lunch. An hour after that, we stop at the fudge factory, get fudge. An hour after that, we're at the Hunter Valley. By then, I'm fat and happy and she can carry on with her cheese and wine tasting tour, right? Yeah. Anyways, went to this pub in Cessnock. It's called the Khartoum Hotel. And went there for lunch, the only ethnic in Cessnock. So I walk in there and they had this picture of a burger. And it was like the size of that T-shirt, the picture. And I kind of cracked a joke to the guy behind the counter saying, oh, it's a cool photo, like, haha. He got upset. He's like, no, that's my burger challenge. I'm like, okay. He's like, no one's ever going to eat it. 55 people have tried and failed. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no one's ever going to eat it. For me, that's like red rag to a wall. My wife's like, oh no.
The trigger.
I'm like, let's go. There's like, so you got the photo on the wall, and then there was like a thermometer kind of like cardboard thing, and it was a prize pool. Every time someone failed, you pay $80 for the burger. If you fail, the owner takes 70, puts $10 in the piggy bank. So 55 people had failed, so there was up to like $550 on this thermometer. I'm like, wait a second, you're telling me I pay $80, I get my money back if I eat it, and I get $550? He's like, yeah. I'm like, sign me up, cool. And I'm like, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. And then it was like on. I had to sign a waiver. There was like a dedicated table. I couldn't even sit at the table with my wife. I'm like, what's going on here? Never done a food challenge before. Cessnock, by the way, like it's like one street, tiny place. Burger comes out. He's like, you must sit. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I got to get a drink. So I was going to go to the bar and get like a Diet Coke. I went to stand up. He's like, sit down. You can't leave the table. I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, my wife went and got me some Cokes. I ate this burger in like 23 minutes, smashed the whole thing. I'm like, that was easy. Got my prize money, went to the fudge factory. Out of the $550, I spent $250 of that on fudge.
Jeez.
Just to like, because it was funny, right? Anyway, I thought nothing of it. I just carried on about my day, whatever. We went to the Hunter Valley, went home. The next day was Sunday. Sunday morning, so my grandma, my mum's side of the family is Croatian. My grandma doesn't really speak fluent English, doesn't really know what's going on. She saw me on the news. So these guys had made a video, sent it to the newspaper. The Cessnock newspaper freaked out, sent it to National 9 News. So I was on the morning show like, oh, a man from Western Sydney conquered Australia's biggest burger. My grandma, saw me on the news, rings my mum. What's James done? Why is he on the news? Is he in trouble? My mum's ringing me. I'm like, who died? It's like 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Like, leave me alone. She's like, you're on the news. I'm like, what? Turn the news on. I'm like, I'm on the news. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so again, I just like, that's pretty awesome. Carried on with my day. By about 2 p.m. on the Sunday, my phone's blowing up. Like I was not on social media, nothing, right? And my phone, like people are messaging me. I'm getting all these random requests on Instagram. And then I thought this was a prank, but the 96.9, the Fitzy and Whipper radio show, their producer got in touch with me from like a random account saying, hey man, like, do you want to come into the studio tomorrow and like eat dumplings with Whipper and Fitzy? I'm like, is this a joke? Anyway, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So anyways, I told my boss I'll be late to work tomorrow, whatever. I'm like, if this is a prank, I'm going all the way to Piedmont in Sydney, like for nothing. So I looked up restaurants where to go to get breakfast, like before I went to work, because I thought someone's having me on. Come to the studio at 6 a.m. for dumplings. I'm like, okay. Anyway, I was there, ate dumplings with Fitzy and Whipper, and we were eating like 100 dumplings each or something like that. And they did it on a Facebook live stream. And then people started messaging this Facebook live stream about like tips how to eat more and eat better and all this stuff. Anyway, one of these guys, who's now one of my best friends, by the way, he reached out to me. He goes, hey, man, I was that guy that called into the radio station and said, you guys need to drink a Diet Coke and do this and do that to eat more. His name's Juan. Now we're like best buds, right? We've been to each other's weddings. Like, it's just crazy. He reached out to me and we started chatting on Instagram. He's like, man, like competitive eating is this. And I'm like, what the hell is competitive eating? And he invited me to the Facebook group. There's a whole secret society of competitive eaters. And they're all talking about this newspaper article, which is my head, right? I'm like, whoa. So me and Juan started chatting. He's like, dude, there's a burger contest on Thursday night. Like, come down. I'm like, I love burgers. Okay. Left work early, drove to Marrickville. I used to work for UFC, UFC gym. So I was in my UFC outfit, got changed in the car, went to this burger shop, and I had never seen a tripod, a microphone, a ring light, none of this, right? I go to this restaurant, I kind of sit in the corner, and then like this entourage of people comes about 20 minutes later. Content creators, I guess influencers and competitive eaters, cameras and all this. And I'm like, I thought I was here to eat a burger, right? Anyway, so this burger contest happens. I smashed it. I ate this burger in like 2.5 minutes. Juan and his now wife, they kind of sat me down and they're like, listen, you're really good at this. This is what competitive eating is all about. These are all the contests. These are all the challenges. I'm like, okay. Went home to my wife and I'm like, listen, hey, like this competitive eating thing, it's a thing. Like, how do I make videos and how do I do all this, right? I'm like, so I did it. Had my iPhone, she bought me a tripod and I went and filmed some food challenges just as a pure joke. And it was just a joke. It was just that, right? And then COVID hit. Lockdown, obviously strict lockdown laws, and we couldn't go to work. So my wife is like, you want to make some TikToks for fun? I'm like, okay. Within 3 weeks, I had like 200K followers, just eating videos, eating food in my living room. And even to this day, people are like, dude, I remember your live streams in your living room during COVID. Like, thank you. I'm like, yeah, cool. Anyway, COVID finished. Well, COVID, freedom happened. Went back to work. Within 3 weeks, I was skipping out on my lunch break, finishing work early to go make food videos at restaurants and all this stuff. And then a few contests started. I won all the Australian contests, got invited to compete in America. So I wanted to go to America. Me and my wife, we booked a trip to do some eating contests. I needed like 6 days annual leave. My boss is like, nah. My wife's like, quit. You know, like what you do and what you've done for this brand. Like you can get a job at any competitor. She's like, just quit. I'm like, okay. I'm like to my boss, I'm out. Bye.
Were you making money there?
I was making some, not enough to survive. Okay. But look, very lucky, had savings. My wife had her own business. She's like, just take a chance, let's go. We ended up turning, instead of a week in America, we stayed for 3 weeks. I left with a professional eating contract and that changed my life forever. Now, fast forward 2 years, travel the world eating. My wife sold her business. She's a stay-at-home mum. I'm here talking to you guys and I eat food for a living.
A professional eating contract?
I'm a professional eater in the Major League Eating, ranked number 4 in the whole world.
Major League Eating.
It's an actual contract.
Truthfully.
Wow.
Well, look, if you look at our biggest contest, the Super Bowl, 4th of July, Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. It's this year we had 50,000 people watch us live, and it was viewed 14.5 million times on ESPN.
Jeez.
I've been on ESPN, TMZ, NBC, all like major publications in America. There's a documentary coming out of me. So like it's in America, it's a sport.
What in the world?
So what started off as a joke, my wife bribed me to go to this winery, is now our life. Crazy.
That is unreal.
That's nuts.
How fate
I know.
works.
It's wild.
But you have a solid wife.
She's a G, man. Honestly, she's a legend. Like honestly, she's the brains of the operation, man. Straight out.
It goes to show all a man really needs is a solid woman by his side, and he'll go anywhere.
Man, a woman with brains is priceless. I'll tell you that much. Truth.